There are revelations that have never echoed within the walls of any sanctuary, and sacred legends that were sealed away because they transcend the boundaries of ordinary human understanding. Hidden behind the veil of faith lies a story that has left even modern scholars bewildered and unsettled. What if angels were not divine beings as described in the Bible, but rather extraterrestrial beings who traveled millions of light years to reach Earth? Such an idea would shake the very foundation of religious belief that humanity has relied upon for thousands of years. And now the gate leading to that truth seems to be slowly creaking open. Under the scorching sun of the Sinai desert, across a barren land devoid of shade, a lone man walked in silence. His name was Moses. According to chapter 34 of the book of Exodus, he was summoned by the Lord to ascend the mountain, a place where the sky seemed to touch the earth, and time itself stood still. For 40 days and 40 nights at that sacred summit, Moses neither ate nor drank, yet he survived miraculously, as if shielded by a kind of energy that defies every known law of biology. There alone with the Most High, Moses experienced something far beyond mortal comprehension. When he returned to his people, his face shone with a strange radiance so bright that those around him recoiled in fear. The church interprets this as a sign of his direct encounter with the glory of God, a divine, pure, and sacred light. Moses' face became a mirror of the soul, reflecting the cosmic light he had just received. He was forced to wear a veil for that. Transformation was too strange, too overwhelming for the people of his time. But what if we revisit this story through the lens of modern science? What then might we see? The detail of the glowing face, the state of no food or water, yet staying alive, and the experience of being disconnected from reality for 40 days. These all bear striking resemblance to descriptions commonly found in alien abduction reports. Many witnesses have claimed they were taken aboard strange flying objects, experienced memory loss or altered consciousness, and returned with inexplicable physical or psychological changes. Could it be that Moses did not merely meet God, but in fact made contact with an extraterrestrial civilization? Ancient astronaut theorist Nick Redfern once proposed a controversial idea that Moses had been abducted by a UFO and kept in an enclosed space for 40 days. According to him, the 10 commandments Moses brought down were not necessarily divine decrees, but perhaps humanitarian messages delivered by a superior alien intelligence. Imagine that very scene unfolding in a modern context, a massive object descending onto a desert plain, a lone individual being invited aboard, then disappearing for nearly 6 weeks into a completely unfamiliar environment. And when he returns, he brings with him a mysterious message and noticeable biological changes. This isn't just a matter of religious belief anymore. It's a phenomenon that science still cannot fully explain. And the coincidences don't end there. The Bible describes the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred object said to contain the 10 Commandments, a jar of manna, and Aaron's staff. It was built according to extremely specific instructions given by God, along with strict rules on how it should be handled and transported. Those who violated these instructions, like Uzzah, paid with their lives. Some others reportedly died simply for daring to look inside the Ark. Modern scholars have raised the question, was the Ark of the Covenant truly a holy relic? Or was it actually some kind of advanced technology, perhaps a machine powered by energy or even a portable nuclear reactor? If that's the case, could it be that thousands of years ago, humanity had already come into contact with a level of science we still have yet to reach? These questions aren't meant to deny faith, but to open a new perspective, a possibility where science and belief might coexist. That what humanity has long called divine may in fact be technology from the distant stars. David Winko-Kak, a researcher specializing in unconventional phenomena, put forward a bold assertion that the technology hidden within the Ark of the Covenant may surpass any scientific advancement humanity currently possesses. He emphasized that the power contained in the Ark was not merely symbolic or spiritual, but real, capable of drying up the Jordan River or toppling the mighty walls of Jericho in an instant. That immense power and danger reportedly required high priests to wear special protective garments just to approach it safely. According to ancient astronaut theorists, this idea is not only plausible, it also sheds new light on an entirely different interpretation of the mercy of God. Perhaps Moses was not merely a prophet who led his people across the barren desert, but a witness, possibly even a mediator in the first recorded encounter between humankind and an intelligence beyond Earth. And who knows, maybe those sacred 10 commandments weren't absolute decrees from the Creator, but rather the first peace treaty between humans and visitors from the stars. Moses wasn't the only one. In ancient religious records, many other figures experienced events so strange they defy logic. One of them was a Jewish priest who, at just 30 years old, documented what is now considered one of the earliest and most detailed accounts of an unidentified flying object and a mysterious encounter with extraterrestrial beings. That man was the prophet Ezekiel. While standing by the banks of the Kabar River, Ezekiel saw a massive swirling dark cloud approaching from the north. But this was no natural phenomenon. Surrounding it were flashes of lightning and flickering purple light that shimmered in the dim sky. Deep within the cloud was an object that looked like molten metal, something far beyond the technical capabilities of humanity at that time. This was no longer the image of a divine miracle. It resembled a piece of alien technology operating right in the middle of the desert. Then he saw 4 mysterious beings, later referred to as cherubim. Each entity had 4 faces looking out in 4 different directions, 1 human, 1 eagle, 1 lion, and 1 ox. They all had 4 wings, their legs straight, and the soles of their feet resembled those of a calf, while their entire bodies glowed with a reddish bronze hue covered in layer that resembled technological armor. Beneath each creature's wings were human-like hands, a detail that modern scholars can't help but associate with mechanical suits or astronaut gear. These beings moved without turning, always going straight ahead, moving in perfect unison like robotic units controlled by a central system. 2 of their wings stretched outward to touch the neighboring creature, as if forming a protective network, while the other 2 wings covered their bodies. Their movements were sharp, instantaneous, like bolts of lightning. The whole scene easily evokes images of space soldiers or programmed guardians protecting some vital entity or restricted area. With their masked helmets, breathing devices, and reflective armor, it's not hard to understand why an ancient witness might describe them using the imagery of sacred animals. But the story doesn't stop there. Ezekiel also described being lifted off the ground, floating through invisible realms of space, shown visions of the future, witnessing events that had not yet occurred, and then returning with his memories fully intact. These accounts bear a striking resemblance to modern reports of alien abduction. Victims often describe being taken aboard strange crafts, drifting through unfamiliar dimensions, and receiving cryptic messages in languages they cannot identify. Could it be that Ezekiel wasn't simply a prophet having spiritual visions, but rather a direct witness to a close encounter between early humankind and beings from the stars? The most bizarre and striking detail in Ezekiel's entire account is the vision of 4 wheels intersecting one another at right angles, forming a strange coaxial structure. That design has led many modern researchers to draw parallels with multi-tiered UFO models found in contemporary alien lore. It's hard to believe that someone living in the Bronze Age, when tools were primitive and technology almost non-existent, could describe such a complex mechanism of motion. This has led some scholars to hypothesize that Ezekiel may have directly witnessed that phenomenon, not merely as a symbolic image or a product of religious imagination. And if that's the case, then instead of forcing him into the mold of a classical theologian, perhaps we should view him as a historical eyewitness, someone who inadvertently came into contact with a form of technology from a vastly different civilization, far beyond the understanding of people in his time. Those interlocking wheels perhaps were not religious symbols or divine visions, but rather a component of an interplanetary flying machine, a device that once soared across the skies of the ancient world and left an indelible impression on the minds of those who saw it firsthand. And if so, then the message Ezekiel recorded may not have been merely a prophecy, but a serious warning for the future of humankind. And if we've already accepted that possibility, then what about the angels? In the minds of millions around the world, the image of angels has long symbolized light, love, and salvation. Beings clad in radiant white wings, floating among the clouds, smiling benevolently, and delivering divine messages through golden harps. A 2010 survey conducted by Nielsen showed that nearly 70% of Americans firmly believe in the existence of such beings. But if we strip away that glamorous outer layer, move beyond the dazzling light and glittering wings, are angels truly messengers from heaven? Or are they something far different from what we've always believed? In reality, the concept of angels in ancient civilizations is far more complex. From Babylonian tablets, ancient Jewish traditions, and Greek mythology, to Eastern spiritual beliefs, supernatural beings were ever present. They may have had different names and forms, but they all shared a common role to serve as intermediaries between two worlds, earth and heaven, or in more modern terms, between the world of humans and the world of another species beyond this planet. When we think of angels in the biblical context, the first images that come to mind are often of cherubim or seraphim beings who carry the power of God. But few know that in Hebrew the word malach simply means messenger, and in Greek angelos holds the same meaning, one who delivers a message. Nothing in their names necessarily implies that they are divine beings, only that they come from another realm to convey an important message. This leads to a thought-provoking question. Have we misunderstood the true nature of the beings mentioned in the Bible? Through the lens of modern science, more and more experts are beginning to hypothesize that angels could be a form of extraterrestrial life. They may not exist in the same physical dimension as humans, but might be operating from another layer of reality, occasionally entering our world to carry out a specific mission. Thousands of years ago, when the concept of science and the cosmos had yet to be formed, our ancestors had no language to describe such phenomena. They only knew that there were beings from the sky carrying mysterious powers and intelligence far beyond human comprehension. And the strange thing is, these beings did not come merely to bestow miracles, they intervened deeply in the material world. From controlling the weather influencing geology to altering the fate of entire nations, their appearances always triggered great upheavals. Yet they came and went in silence, leaving behind sacred legends and supernatural images etched into the collective memory of humankind. When we examine ancient texts through a modern lens, it becomes difficult to ignore the uncanny similarities between descriptions of angels and contemporary reports of UFOs or close encounters with extraterrestrials. Both portray beings from the sky traveling in vehicles that defy conventional physical laws, communicating without words, and displaying intelligence vastly superior to that of humans. All of this, whether written in the language of theology or scientific reporting, points to one thing: perhaps we are not alone in this universe. And perhaps the ancient beings our ancestors called angels were in fact messengers from a civilization among the stars, visitors who came to Earth in prehistoric times and left deep imprints on human culture, religion, and consciousness that endure to this day. So could our belief in angels be the faint residue of an ancient memory, one in which humanity once interacted with entities not of this earth? It's possible that the imagery portrayed in the Bible was simply the ancients' way of encoding their extraordinary experiences using religious symbols, a language they could understand. Although we still lack definitive answers, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: angels may not be mere products of religion. They could represent a missing link in human history, a history long distorted or deliberately hidden. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. Behind the noble title Angel of God lies a forgotten chapter of history, one involving power, rebellion, and the fall from grace. One of the ancient texts excluded from the official Bible, the Book of Enoch, has concealed a shocking truth for centuries. Unearthed from the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran in the late 1940s, this book immediately rocked the academic world with revelations so bold they threatened to shake the very foundations of traditional belief. From its very opening chapters, the Book of Enoch describes a strange scene atop the majestic Mount Hermon, where angels did not descend to redeem mankind, but to abandon heaven in an act of unprecedented rebellion. They were fallen beings renouncing the celestial realm and descending not out of love, but out of a thirst for dominion and control. They came not to enlighten, but to impose their rule upon a still young humanity. That act of arrogance led to their expulsion from heaven, condemned to eternal exile on earth, and transformed into the very symbol of rebellion, the fallen angels. When viewed through a modern lens, the story in the Book of Enoch resembles nothing less then a bloody secession between species from an interstellar civilization. A group that once held a supreme position within the cosmic order broke away from the central structure of power to build their own empire. In the process, they divided into two distinct factions, one loyal to the heavens and the other seeking autonomy on Earth. These very traitors would later be known to humankind by a chilling name, the fallen angels. The Book of Enoch not only affirms the existence of these entities, it also describes strange encounters between them and humans. In passages rich with symbolism and mystical imagery, Enoch recounts being taken to strange places not of this world. He describes a chariot of light mountaintops where a mysterious radiance descended and many journeys through the layers of the heavens as if he were being guided through different dimensions to uncover cosmic secrets never before touched by man. Each of these journeys echoes like the sound of a forgotten era when humanity was still too young to understand the advanced technologies or knowledge they once witnessed. But it's not just the Book of Enoch. Even the Hebrew Bible refers to the transgressive acts of the fallen angels. One of the most controversial details is that they mated with the daughters of men, an act that shattered the sacred boundary between heaven and earth. This story is recorded directly in Genesis chapter 6, where their hybrid offspring known as the Nephilim were born. These beings were not only giant and powerful, but also possessed mysterious abilities that far surpassed normal human capacity. And from here, the question of the true nature of angels begins to arise. Were they really messengers of divinity, or were they the product of a genetic fusion between humans and an ancient extraterrestrial race? The Book of Enoch does not shy away from this revelation. He refers to these beings as the Watchers, those who guard the skies between worlds. They did not belong wholly to the pure heavens, nor were they entirely material beings like humans. If what is written in the Book of Enoch is a remnant of ancient memory, an account of extraterrestrial intervention in early human history, then all of mythology and human religion may need to be reinterpreted in an entirely new light. In that case, the fallen angels are no longer just symbols of moral decay. They are evidence of a violent conflict between civilizations from distant stars. A war that once unfolded on Earth, recorded in the language of myth and smoldering in the collective memory of humankind for thousands of years. In the year 610 AD, a monumental event was recorded in the Islamic scriptures, an event that marked the last time God would send a prophet to humanity to complete the mission of revelation. It was at this moment that Muhammad, regarded as the seal of the prophets, received his divine calling in the ancient city of Mecca, uniting the Arab tribes under the light of a single faith, Islam. Before that pivotal moment, Muhammad often retreated to the caves of Mount Hira to meditate, pray, and seek enlightenment from the unseen realms. On a fateful day, as he was in deep contemplation within the stillness, a supernatural force appeared. It was the angel Gabriel, the sacred messenger, previously mentioned in the Old Testament as the one who foretold the births of Jesus and John the Baptist. This time, Gabriel did more than convey the word of God. He became Muhammad's eternal guide, accompanying him throughout a sacred 23-year journey to transmit the entire Quran. What is remarkable is that this first encounter bore characteristics that defied ordinary logic. Gabriel did not appear as a vague spiritual vision, but as a distinct, powerful being, radiating dazzling light. When he spoke, he uttered just one sentence, "I will take you with me." And so the two transcended all physical limits of Earth, soaring through the layers of the heavens, observing the world from heights no human had ever known. The journey is believed to have lasted only about a minute and a half, an incredibly brief moment, yet one filled with knowledge beyond a human lifetime. Some scholars of the ancient astronaut theory argue that this event was not merely a spiritual experience, but a close encounter between a human and an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. When Muhammad later fled from Mecca to Jerusalem, Gabriel brought him a winged creature called Burak, a strange being capable of crossing thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. With this aid, Muhammad reached Masjid al-Aqsa, the farthest mosque, and from there he was taken even higher, ascending through the celestial realms. He met Abraham, Moses, and other great prophets before finally standing before the Supreme Creator, an event known as Isra and Miraj. The entire journey is said to have occurred in just one night, something impossible by the laws of physics. But when seen through the lens of advanced technology, perhaps teleportation or interdimensional travel, what is recorded in the Quran and Hadith begins to resemble a kind of technology far beyond human capability. What is most striking is that every step of the journey included the presence of Gabriel, a testament that these angels have always been near, guiding and intervening in the course of human history. And it wasn't just Muhammad. Look to the west, to the barren land of Israel, where the silent Mount Sodom stands by the Dead Sea. There once again the appearance of angels was recorded, this time in the form of a warning. The angels came to Lot, the nephew of Abraham, to foretell the wrath about to fall upon Sodom and Gomorrah, two cities of depravity that had become symbols of moral collapse. As Lot and his family fled, his wife, glancing back one last time, was instantly turned into a pillar of salt. A moment frozen in time, as if to remind future generations that some destinies are sealed, and not even angels can alter what has already been written. According to the ancient astronaut theory, these angels may not have been purely spiritual entities, but rather extraterrestrial beings who deliberately intervened in the evolutionary course of humanity. Their appearances were not random. They chose specific individuals, imparted knowledge, offered protection, provided guidance, and at times passed judgment. The case of Lot being rescued may serve as clear evidence that they were not merely passive observers, but active agents, sometimes acting decisively at pivotal moments in human history. But the bigger questions remain. Where did they come from? Why did they intervene in human destiny? Could humanity be part of a project spanning millennia? A mysterious plan to forge a species that embodies both intelligence and soul. In Islamic tradition, belief in guardian angels is deeply rooted. Every individual is assigned two angels, one to record their righteous deeds, the other to record their wrongdoings. These angels never leave a person's side, almost as if there is a cosmic surveillance system walking beside each soul. In Judaism, one of the earliest guardian angels mentioned is Raphael. In the book of Tobit, this angel quietly guides a young man through countless dangers to help him reunite with his destined wife. These records are not merely legends, they carry a message that there exist forces beyond human comprehension, who are not just messengers, but sacred protectors of the human soul. And now the remaining question is, do you believe angels' chariots of light, mysterious dreams, or surreal journeys? They may all be ways through which a superior civilization is trying to send a message to humanity. One thing is certain in this vast universe: humanity is not alone.